Hi, welcome back to the podcast. Today, I want to talk to you about budgeting season and why this is a great strategic financial planning to unlock business growth. If you love budgeting, hate budgeting, dread it, or just don't want to do it because it seems hard, you're in the right place. We're going to talk about why budget is important, what is it, why do we need it in our business, and it really helps unlock this next level of potential in your business that you haven't been able to maybe achieve or even dream of. I see a lot of the budgeting exercises we do with clients unlocks new opportunities and also new challenges that we need to overcome in order to grow our business. But it sets the path and direction on what we're trying to achieve come next year. Now, we're going to get into real measurable areas in your business that you should be budgeting for, and then how to stop running your business out of gut instinct but using some of the data you already have to unlock powerful insights about how to grow your business next and where to focus. So make sure you listen to the end of the episode. We're going to get into some juicy actionable items for you to take on in your business. Okay, so let's start with what is budgeting or budgeting season. So it's the period of time where we're going to dedicate time to start planning for the future. This tends to happen around the end of the year or in Q4, October, November. And don't worry, if you haven't gone into your budget and it's already January, it's not a problem. We're just going to need to plan a little faster and get ahead on what's to come this year already if you feel like you fell behind. We budget all throughout the year at different time intervals for any of our clients. Obviously, we do it proactively, so we try to tackle it before end of year and have a good plan going into the new year. But even new clients who come in and don't have a budget, we're still able to do this even after the start of the year because we still need to have a plan to execute towards no matter what time of year we're on. And there will always be forward looking we can do in our businesses. So this doesn't stop us just because we passed October, November. Now all of a sudden you cannot budget anymore. That is not true. You could still take the time. Now, what we want to do is develop a financial roadmap for the upcoming year in your business. So we want to start looking at what is revenue need to be, or what goal are we setting for that? Are we growing? Are we staying stagnant? Are we shrinking? What are we predicting and estimating our trajectory will become next year? And then we're going to do the same thing for our expense side. What can we afford based on that revenue target that you're setting, that goal? Now, it starts by looking at what did we do this year. So you want to start reviewing your current data before you start forecasting, because your current data will give you a lot of insights into what already has been able to happen, what you've already been able to accomplish, and what potential your business has to unlock new ways and increase ways of generating revenue growth as well as profits ultimately. Budgets are for us to set expectations of what we want to happen in our business, in each department. It helps us set goals that are measurable, that we can focus on achieving and making progress towards every single month, every quarter to achieve that yearly plan. Every business out there needs a budget to be able to lead the way and set direction for the business. Without a budget, you're just kind of stumbling your way month to month and you're not sure how you're going to achieve what because you don't even know what you're achieving. So making sure you're getting clear on what it is and how you're going to achieve it is going to take the guesswork out of it and allow you to take action so that you can more likely hit your goals as you're going through every month in your business. Now, not every month is going to be great. You're not going to hit your goals every single month. And that doesn't mean you cannot budget or you cannot forecast in your business. It just means we need to learn from like what went wrong, what happened, why did we not hit the goal, and what were our expectations versus what actually happened that stopped us from achieving the goal. And then can we correct that, go come next month, next quarter? What is the gap? How are we going to make up for it? How are we going to close it? But I'll just tell you, businesses that plan are more likely to be successful and achieve even a stretch goal than businesses who don't plan, because you might not plan and end up shrinking by accident because you didn't think about growth and it wasn't intentional. So you're just reacting to what's happening rather than having a plan to proactively address things as they come. You should be assessing risks, you should be assessing opportunities, and how your business is going to generate revenue, either in the same ways that you were, in new ways, new offers, new programs, new services, or just doubling down on the things that are working already in your business. Looking at your current data will tell you a lot of what's working and you could do more of. And then also don't forget to create what it could be and what new exciting things you want to explore as areas of growth that maybe you didn't have before in your business. Now, we do want to treat our budget season like a planning session that's strategic focus. Often, when we get to planning, we have already developed a strategic plan for the business on where we want to be, what we're trying to achieve. And it's not quantitative, it's not about the numbers, it's about the vision and where we're trying to get to as a business. What are things that are important? What are things we need to consider into our plan? And then we're putting numbers to that. What I see people do wrong is they start with the numbers without the strategy. So we need the strategy first, and then the numbers will feed to that strategy that we are trying to achieve to make sure those goals are aligned and helping support the overall strategy we're going after for the business. Okay, so we already talked a little bit about when to start budgeting, and ideally, you go into the new year with a plan already. So you take some time away in October, November to reflect and outline some goals. And then the earlier you start, the better you'll be because you'll be able to have time to ask the questions, work through the strategy, decide on what to do and not to do in your business, and get some feedback from your team on like how you want to shape up the planning going forward. They might have some inputs that you want to take into account. There might be some reflections from the current year that you want to, go over and review. And then in that collaboration, new ideas might come up as well that you want to consider into your budget. So it's not about just crunching the numbers, but really think about what else are you trying to achieve with your business? What does your business need to do for you? Maybe you're looking for more freedom. You need to establish a leadership team. Maybe you already have a leadership team, but they're not doing the work in the way that it needs to be done. So you start to think about ways that you can allocate your spending to support that in improving and making sure that you're out of the day to day as an owner. Okay, let's also not forget that in the budgeting process, while we might not take on all the ideas, we want to run some analysis on the ones that we think have potential and prioritize because we cannot do everything, and make sure that you are thinking of this as the first draft for your plan, and then you're refining with every meeting and every progress that you're making along the process of budgeting. And budgeting should not feel restrictive. This is what I hear from a lot of clients like, well, I don't like to budget because it makes me not want to spend, or I'm not sure what to budget for. Or it just telling me I don't have enough to afford everything. And that's completely real. Like sometimes our budgets just say you cannot afford to do all the 10 things you want to do. So you now have to prioritize and only pick three. And that's the reality of businesses. We can't afford to do everything. So your budget might feel like it's constraining. What it's doing is telling you you have to prioritize just the important three things that you can do and afford to do so that you do them well and you're not stretching your budget too thin. So the budget should be permission to spend, not stopping you from achieving your dreams. And I want that budget to be my permission slip to say, you're allowed to spend this much on marketing. You're allowed to spend this much on operations. And that will help us unlock XYZ expectations and outcomes that we want to see in our business. It will fuel a 20% growth year over year, or a 5% growth, or whatever the growth number you're looking for. It's going to help guide what you can afford to do within that envelope of revenue for your business, and ultimately show you whether or not you will be profitable doing so. So if you're not planning on budgeting, you wouldn't know. You would just think every revenue is good. And what I see often happens is people just take on a service that has no margin, and they're just becoming a pass-through entity where money is coming in and money is going right out, and they have no profit to show for it. So we don't want any of that happening in your business. Budgeting should prevent you from doing that by proactively planning what it is, what is the price point, what are the margins, are they healthy, and is there profit left behind in the service offers and products I'm selling. So that exercise should give you good insights into how well your profitability is in the business. And if it's not good today, guess what? You get plan to change it to make it better with every budget process that you go through. Okay, so a budget is powerful if you pair it with actionable steps you need to take in order to achieve your budget. I often see people who say, well, I'm just budgeting and forecasting some pie in the sky number and I have no plan on how I'm going to get there. well, then you're likely not going to hit any of those goals. So, what you want to do is start to break down your goals into actionable steps. For example, I'm going to go market to 100 people to get the leads I need to hit this revenue goal every single month, every single week, whatever that number is. You now start to make it more tangible because now you know the piece of the budget that you're in control of, which is to outreach to 100 people in order to sell your product or your service. And then that turns into some conversion rate that you have, maybe it's 40%. So you have 40 people that are now going to become paying clients or customers. So you need to start doing the math on some of that. And if you're not sure how to go about that for your business, we'll be happy to help support that. But just keep in mind, a budget is not actionable until you make it into action steps where you break it down on how we're going to achieve this goal. What does it entail to achieve this goal? And this is where we are, able to help clients get a lot of clarity, and then it becomes super clear what they need to do next and what they're going to prioritize in their spending and in their time to make those results happen, and how it all connects to the ultimate budget goal that we have created. Okay, a budget should also be the foundation of growth for a business because it's going to help you start planning for hiring. It's going to set the guidance on where you're going to invest your money. How are you going to allocate your spending that aligns with the goals that you have set for the business? You're also going to start prioritizing what actually moves the needle in my business, not just the busy work everybody tries to say is what's going to make you have results happen, but really the real things that are moving the needle in your business. And maybe you're delegating the rest, or you're eliminating the rest that don't matter anymore. That's something that you, the CEO, don't need to be doing in your business. Now, your budget is also a decision making tool. So, if you've already spent your marketing budget for the year and you're trying to decide if you should spend more, you got to go check your budget to see, is there room for it? Are we trading something else off in order to fit this expense into the budget? What are we giving up in order to be able to afford this thing? Because again, your budget is not about restriction, it's just about permission slip on intentionally deciding where you're going to spend your money and how you're going to spend it to make sure your goals are achieved in the business. It's also working as a communication tool to align your leaders, because what happens is your leaders have no idea how much they can spend. They have no idea what are the priorities or where we're investing, and all of a sudden they're bringing all these ideas to you on the things that they could do to help you grow and invest in courses, programs, trainings, or like an expensive marketing consultant or whatever the thing is. And you're not sure if you can afford it because you didn't do your budget. So if you had your budget, it would say, hey, we allocated $20,000 this quarter to be able to, hire someone to help us with marketing or do the work for us. So it's important that you have that as a communication and alignment tool with your leadership staff. So, hey, if you already spend that, we're not going to spend it again. Or if we're going to spend that on this consultant, what is the expectations on return on investment to make sure you're making your money back and then some? If you don't have metrics to track that with, it's going to be a little bit harder. So it's important that when you're going into spending decision, that you have clear expectations of what that should do for your business and how to track those results to make sure they come back to you. And, it could be in the form of a revenue increase. It could be more visibility, number of eyeballs. It could be whatever it needs to be in front of your ideal customer or client that's buying your product or service. And that information gets captured as part of the return on investment for that type of spending. So either if it's software that you're spending money on and saving time, you should know how much time you're saving by your team not having to do that anymore because you automate it through a piece of software. So these are the kind of ways that we help our clients make decisions. And then we do scenario planning for some of those decisions on if we spend on marketing but don't spend on tools, what happens? Or like, should we spend on tools and not marketing? Should we hire a team member? Should we automate that? Or should we have a hybrid option of that? And we run the numbers around what that would do to the business and how it would help us unlock the next level of growth. Now, I touch on this more in episode 9 on how to use a budget like a GPS to navigate business growth, but it's important that you're checking in against your budget throughout the year to understand, are you on track, off track? Do you need to get back on track? What are we spending on versus what we thought we were going to be spending on, and how that's shifting over time? Because your budget is going to be fluid. Yes, you will set a budget for the year and you do have yearly goals you're trying to achieve. How you achieve them and when you achieve them might fluctuate month to month, quarter to quarter. Some months we're going to be over budget where we spend a little too much. Some months we're going to be under budget. Some months we're going to do more revenue than we thought we would. And some months we're going to be below that. But even understanding what our expectations were versus what the reality was is going to be super important exercise to know, is my business on track to achieve the goals that we had set originally at the beginning of the year? Yes or no? If no, what are we doing to change that trajectory, to improve it? Because we still got 9 months left in the year to make it happen, or we still got 6 more months to turn the course. And knowing where you're at in your budget is going to help you better have a better opportunity of achieving those goals at the end of the year than if you just waited till the end of the year to find out you were not on track to hit your goals and you had no idea that you had overspent and you couldn't correct that while it was happening. So active management of your budget is going to be a key also outside of planning for a budget for the full year that will help your business stay on track to their goals and make sure that you're achieving them. Okay, some of the key benefits of having a budget in your business are clarity. Often I see CEOs come to me and they say, well, I'm just running out of gut instinct. I have no idea. Think money's just getting spent. I feel like I have no control over it. And because we have no clarity on what we should be spending and how we're intentionally allocating our dollars, that, by the way, are hard to earn and you're just giving them away to anything, into the right buckets for the right reasons. And often I'll look at how they're spending money. They tell me what their goals are, and then they show me how they're spending money. And then I can clearly see that those two are not aligned. They're like, I'm trying to achieve this goal, but I'm spending in this direction instead, which is counterproductive and why they're not achieving their goals. And then we do an exercise to realign their spending to the goals that they say they want to have. And then things start to happen and things start to work because it's in alignment with the goals that we have set, not again working against it. It's going to give your team focus because now we're not trying to figure out what we're spending money on. We know what we're spending money on and what we're trying to achieve, and it gets everyone aligned to the same goal, so everybody is going the same direction. Without that guidance, without the strategic plan and a budget to go with it, everybody might be thinking we're achieving different goals and nothing was clearly communicated. So this is a way to also bring your leadership team in alignment with what is the strategy, what are we focusing on, and here's how we're spending the money to support the strategy that we decided to go after. Now, you will also get to have a lot more control because now you have decided proactively where you're going to spend your money, and that control is going to help you make more proactive decisions. So when you're encountering a decision whether or not you can hire, you can go check your hiring plan and say, yeah, we were supposed to bring 3 new hires this quarter. We already got 1 in. We still have room for 2 more. Let's go. And we can afford it because we've done the exercise to do the math around that. So you're not guessing, you're just executing, which is the difference between successful CEOs and CEOs who are still trying to figure it out. Is successful CEOs have a plan and they're sticking to it and they're following it and they're checking against that progress. CEOs who are still struggling, they're just trying to figure out, what should I do next? What is my plan? I did not take the time to do that planning, so now I'm a little lost and I need some direction. So that's what the planning is going to do for you. And then, yes, things don't always go according to plan. So having an agile, pivoting strategy for your budget is going to be key in making sure that you are able to make adjustments as needed. Being able to have agility in your budget is key because not everything is going to go according to plan and things will change and you might need to make adjustments to your budget throughout the year. We try to do a review process every quarter. We're not always making changes. Sometimes we're still sticking to the same plan. We might make minor adjustments, add some things that are new that we decided to spend money on, or maybe we see that revenue is growing faster than we thought and we're not able to overachieve on our goals. So we'll adjust for that too when things are going well. So just keeping, your budget and adjusting as things happen, not every day, not every month, but maybe quarterly, will help you understand where you're at. And you're also, again, measuring progress along the way. So you know exactly where you're at all times. This budgeting process should also give you a lot of confidence because now you have financials that are projected on what's going to happen in the next 12 to 18 months in my business. If you're seeking any kind of funding or lending, you're able to present these projections and have an idea of what the company is going to be aiming to achieve come next year, and you already have your action plan along with that to make it a reality. So you're way more attractive to lending opportunities if you're applying for any kind of loans or you're seeking investor funding, or even if you're just bootstrapping, you yourself will know what it will take to get to that next level of growth because you have taken the time to plan and map this out ahead of time. Okay, so let's go through some actionable steps you can take right now while you're listening to this episode. Go ahead and block some time on your calendar to get started working on your budget if you haven't already. Or make sure you book a call with us. We'll be happy to help you, outline that and support you through that strategic budget planning. You should tap your key leadership members in your staff to help you build that budget and give you some ideas on things that you could do to grow over time. You could start identifying 2 to 3 priority areas that you want to be investing in your business come next year. And then just start with like drafting a simple plan. It could be a 1-page document of things we want to do, goals we want to accomplish, things we maybe didn't accomplish this year that we want to push to next year. And that happens too, because of, uncertainty and environment factors that you're not in control of. Also, what are some risk opportunities, new partnerships, collaborations, things that maybe are now on your radar that weren't before that you can leverage going into next year. And then start outlining some timelines and milestones. We like to do our budget and break it down into quarters. That's just like what I'm used to from our corporate finance days. So we also have a planning process every year and a quarterly budget to make sure that we have a way of achieving our goals and measuring and tracking that as we go through. Your timeline can be monthly, your timeline can be whatever you want it to be. It could be weekly if that's what makes more sense for your business, but just even knowing what is that timeline will really help you. And like I said, it's never too late to start planning for your business. So even if you're in the middle of the year or you're at the tail end or the beginning, just take the time to plan. You will feel a lot more in control and with certainty about the next steps you'll be taking in your business. Budgeting is not just about spreadsheets. Budgeting is about setting the direction strategically for your business to intentionally and proactively get to the goals that you want to get to so desperately. If you're struggling, coming up with some ideas on how to best run this process, we'll be happy to help. Make sure you book a call with us on our website at wealthworthwithin.com, and a fractional CFO will be happy to help you walk through a budget plan for your business. If you take nothing else from today's episode away, is that a budget is essentially a growth plan in numbers form. And so it is informed by your growth plan, strategic plan, and then the numbers come next. So make sure you do that in the right order. And it should not be just another task. It should be what we prioritize to make our businesses grow and intentionally make the results happen that we need from our business for ourselves. Thank you for listening to the podcast. Until next time, lead with financial confidence and plan with purpose. Thank you for being here.